Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the August 27th, 2025 meeting of the Fond du Lac City Council. The first item of business is roll call, which is done electronically, and I will declare a quorum present with us all here. The next item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, which is followed by a moment of silent reflection. Please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on our agenda, we have our introduction of Lakeside Municipal Court Judge Troy Damsteed. I'm so sorry I didn't get a chance to say hello, but welcome and
Very good on the name.
This is our new municipal court judge for Lakeside Municipal Court. He has graciously stepped in to become the interim judge while we are waiting to have the election later this year. Judge Jay retired last month.
And since you didn't get to know me through the normal election process, I thought I would stop by tonight to introduce myself, give you a little bit about my background and things like that. So, good evening. My name is Troy Damstead, your community's municipal judge. I wanted to come introduce myself to you since I was appointed instead of elected as the municipal judge by the Lakeside Municipal Court Executive Committee until that special election is held on November 4th. Since Judge Day's retirement, after 28 years on the bench, I have been performing my duties now since about August 1st. I truly enjoy the opportunity to continue serving the public. A little bit about me: I grew up in the city of Waupun and Brandon areas and have served many communities throughout Fond du Lac County since 1990. I started as a 911 dispatcher for the city of Waupun and Fond du Lac County Sheriff's Departments, and then in 1994, I became a sworn police officer and served the village of North Fond du Lac for 16 years, and then the city of Ripon for 15 more years. Additionally, I held part-time officer positions in the village of Campbellsport, as well as the village of Brandon and Fairwater for many years. Over my career, I was a school resource officer, an evidence technician, field training officer, DARE officer, property custodian, and sergeant, and I retired from the Ripon Police Department on July 6th at the rank of captain of police. My education consists of a bachelor's degree in administration of justice, master's degree in organizational leadership and quality, both from Marian University here in Fond du Lac, and I also have a certified public manager degree from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. My extensive law enforcement career has already helped me perform my new judge role. I'm very familiar with state laws, local ordinances, police procedures, rules of evidence, constitutional requirements officers must abide by. First-hand law and police procedure knowledge, combined with my education and administration experience, helps me effectively serve your community while ensuring citizens' rights are protected. Lakeside Municipal Court, in case you don't know, in case there's some new members here, serves 23 communities across 3 counties. That means we hold court in 5 different locations to make it more convenient for the users of the court. Geography-wise, we are the largest municipal court in the state and one of the busiest. So far, in the first 7 months of this year, Lakeside Municipal Court has processed 6,059 cases. If that caseload continues at this rate, we will handle about 10,500 cases, and that's about 1,000 more than last year. The court is staffed by 2 full-time court clerks and myself, the part-time judge, with our court office located in North Fond du Lac. We take pride in our personal attention we provide to citizens, especially during our juvenile sessions. Matters addressed by the court include state traffic violations, including operating while intoxicated, municipal ordinance violations, as well as building and fire code violations. Criminal and civil matters are handled by the circuit court. I would encourage you to contact me at the court office if you have any questions about the court, or to let me know if you have any concerns that your community has. Thank you very much for your time.
thank you, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Next on our agenda, is public hearings, and we have none. So we will move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda finalizes the proposed actions for the meeting, A, August 13th, 2025 minutes, and B, list of claims dated August 20th, 2025. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Godfrey and second by Mr. Heisler. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. All right, that passes unanimously. Next on our agenda is audience comments, agenda and non-agenda items. The presiding officer will limit speaking time for non-agenda items to 1 minute and items noticed on the agenda to 5 minutes. Ms. Hefter, do we have anyone wishing to speak? All right. First, we will have Dwayne Clark, who wishes to speak on the non-agenda item of the Fond du Lac Loop.
Hi there, Dwayne Clark. I'm a family physician here in town and with SSM and Fond du Lac Regional Clinic. And I come to you just to let you know that the Fond du Lac Loop volunteer group, we call ourselves the Friends of the Loop, at least today we did, is alive and well, and we've been partnering with city and county officials. We appreciate meetings with all the folks that we've got to meet with, Diane Benson, Paul DeVries, Terry Dietzel, Sarah Van Buren, among others. Our goal is to make the loop better and make Fond du Lac, put it on the map because of the loop. We have lots of great ideas. I thought I had 3 minutes. I was going to share several of those with you, but I don't. So but I was just asked for the city council to continue to support the loop. We think it's important for our city. It's important for the vitality of the community and the residents, the young children. We want a bicycle-friendly community, and with your endorsement, we can have that. So we look forward to you guys supporting any efforts that we have to make the Fond du Lac Loop a destination.
Thank you so much. And we also have Joan Schabel, who wishes to speak on Wandering Motorhome. I
Hi.
can't quite make out, if you would just state what your topic is, and then we'll give you the minute to speak.
Well, I found out this past week there's no ordinance on vehicles on a city street that have been there for, disabled too long. They get ticketed, they have to get moved. Well, there's one been going around for 2 months in my neighborhood. It's an old motorhome, it doesn't even run, it's packed to the gills with junk. And the landlord made them get it out of their driveway. It's been traveling around the block like 2 months now. Every few days it moves. And then all the people on Washington Street, I live on Washington Street, it's currently in front of my house because I don't have any cars parked in front of my house, so they shoved it there. But everybody else on that street puts all their cars on the street so it doesn't get shoved in front of their house. And there's no ordinance for anything to be done about it. As long as they keep moving it, it's fine. Their hands are tied. And the policeman I talked to on Monday said to come here tonight and see if we can get an ordinance to prevent this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, that ends our audience comments. So we'll move on to our agenda items. Item A is resolution number 9200, resolution authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $16,470,000 general obligation promissory notes, Series 2025. Our introduction is by our Director of Administration, Ms. Davy, and Justin Fisher, Managing Director of Baird.
Thank you. So tonight we start the process to do our annual borrowing for the money that we need for our 2025 capital improvement projects. So I will turn it over to Justin.
Thanks, Tricia. It's great to see everyone again. It's that time of the year where we're going to go through the capital financing plan. This is kind of a culmination of working with Tricia and her team, evaluating what was approved in the budget, different projects, how to finance it, et cetera. So I'll give a quick market update, what's going on in the municipal bond world, stock market. We'll go through the financing summary timeline, go through the detailed financing illustration, and finish up with the general obligation borrowing capacity chart. So municipal world, the stock market, the financial world has been pretty volatile as far as, when we were in spring. Think back to April when the tariff news came about. we saw interest rates spike for about a month, and then things started to calm down a little bit. It's really taken a several months, though, to have the interest rates come back to pre-tariff announcement type levels. So that's really good news that we weren't into the market shortly after that we're kind of in this period of time where things have settled down. Now, what's the impact of the tariffs longer term? I think that's a big question mark, but fortunately, a lot of that has not been as high as people expected at one point. And since then, we've seen the interest rates come down. So it's going to continue to be volatile over the next 6 to 12 months, absolutely, as you would expect with all the uncertainty in Washington. But let's jump right into the presentation then. So as we go to page 2 of the financing plan, so this will be an estimated size of $16,470,000. It will be a general obligation promissory note, Series 2025. So, in the past, we've done revenue bonds. This is a general obligation bond. So your unlimited taxing authority tied to this financing. It ultimately is your lowest cost type financing that you can do as a municipality. It's going to fund the 2025 capital improvement projects that were approved in the budget. It's going to mature March 1, 2026 to 2035, so a 10-year financing, very consistent with what the city has done in the past, and it's really a positive to be able to pay down that debt at a high rate. First interest being March 1 of 2026 and callable September 1, 2032, or any date thereafter. So on that particular day, you can take a look at refinancing or prepaying, et cetera. If you recall back several years ago when interest rates were low, we took advantage of that and refinanced. We're starting to see the short-term rates come lower. We were in such an inverted yield curve for so long, that's starting to shift to where short-term rates are coming down with the Fed expecting to potentially do some rate cuts here in the next several months. We could continue to see the short end of the yield curve come down. Whether that impacts the longer-term bonds, that's big question for everyone, because, last year when the Fed reduced the rates, long-term rates actually went up. So, it didn't have that impact that everyone was kind of hoping for from a mortgage rate perspective, et cetera. The estimated interest rate on this financing, 4%, and a not-to-exceed parameter of 4.5%. If we go to page 3, we'll go through the timeline. So preparations are made for the issuance. The official statement, we've got that pretty much in good shape. We've went through the bond rating process where myself, Tricia, Diane, David, we all participated on a rating call with Standard & Poor's, answered all their questions, and they did affirm the city's AA- bond credit rating. So that's been what the city has received in the past, and I think, going in from prior years to this year, I think they definitely took note of a lot of the positives going on in the city. It was a very good, solid discussion, and they had some good things definitely to say about the city's financial outlook going forward. So that was great to hear. The city council considers the plan of finance tonight and parameters resolution, ultimately giving authority to sign off on the sale to the director of the administration or city manager. The tentative sale day would be the week of September 2nd, and the closing would occur on October 1st of 2025. Going to page 4, this is the detailed financing illustration. So on the left side of the page, that's your levy-supported debt service on an annual basis, principal and interest for everything outstanding. The middle of the page, that's what we're talking about tonight. You can see how that's kind of layered in, and then the right side of the page, that ultimately takes the left side plus the middle to get to the right side amounts. So you can see what that looks like on an annual basis going forward. So nothing dramatic there. Now, if we go to page 5 of the presentation, I've shown you this in the past, but I like to show you this on an annual basis to kind of see how things are progressing, because sometimes when you do these financings, you think it continues to stack on top and top and top. But the thing is, municipalities are allowed to borrow up to 5% of your equalized valuation. The city continues to grow at a very high clip. In the most recent year, from 24 to 25, about 10% on the equalized value basis. we've been assuming 2% growth to try to be conservative because we don't know what's going to be happening. But when you look at this chart, the black bars there, that's your outstanding principal on an annual basis. You can see how that's going down over time as you're paying down your outstanding debt. The blue, that's the financing that we're talking about tonight, so that's stacked on top. The gray there is what you have an available borrowing capacity at any point in time after this financing takes place. So still, after the financing is completed, you'll still have capacity of about $140 million or 58%. So, that kind of gives everyone a good, clear picture that, you're in really good shape from a financing perspective. You haven't really over-leveraged or anything like that. You're doing very well, and as it continues over the years, you can see how it drops, allowing us to be able to do next year's financing and the year after, et cetera, to be able to take advantage of that. So, as I've mentioned, a lot of moving parts in the process, but we're in really good shape this year for the financing.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from council? Mr. Heisler?
Thank you, Madam President. Justin, great to see you again. Awesome presentation as always. Thank you, Ms. Davy. You guys just mentioned, just briefly, talked a little bit about the uncertainty in Washington. I was just kind of curious if you could kind of give me an overarching viewpoint of some of the key things that you pay attention to that are coming out of DC that kind of help you figure out as you forecast this.
Yeah, I mean, who knows, right, what's going to happen in Washington, but really the tariff stuff is the things that we're paying attention to very closely and the impacts that that are going to happen, whether it be interest rates or just general inflation. Does it have a direct correlation? Does it not? Those are the things that we're really paying attention to. And as I said, from the Fed perspective, we kind of are figuring that there is going to be a rate cut here potentially in September. Is there another one by the end of the year? That's kind of up in the air a little bit, and potentially early next year. There's a lot of pressure on the Fed right now to do those cuts, whether that gets political beyond the point it is right now. That's anyone's guess, but those are other things that we're paying attention to is what's going to happen to the short end of the yield curve based on those decisions.
I appreciate it very much. Great presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, I am not seeing any other questions from council, so thanks again for a wonderful presentation. And I will entertain a motion on this resolution.
Motion to approve 9200.
Motion by Mr. Heisler. Second. And second by Mr. Mullen. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Item B is resolution number 9201, a resolution approving the final plat of South Park Avenue. Our introduction is by our Community Development Director, Ms. Benson.
Thank you, Ms. Brault. As you're aware, when we do development within the city, sometimes we have to take the parcels and we have to divide it. And we know that state regulations determine how we can divide land, whether it's a certified survey map or a plat. So if it's more than a certain number of lots, we have to go through the plat process. The one before you is for South Park Avenue. If you've been driving around the south side of town, you've seen maybe a mound of dirt here or there. And, a lot of it's Public Works, but there is actually another project besides Public Works, and that is the construction of the South Park Avenue extension. And that will create some 12 lots on the north side of that future road. That'll be residential development, and that is recommended for approval by Plan Commission, subject to the terms and conditions from engineering.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Benson? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Schisler. And second by Mr. Godfrey. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. That ends our action items, so we will move on to our presentation of input items. First, we have the Downtown Fond du Lac Partnership Annual Plan presented by Downtown Fond du Lac Partnership Executive Director Amy Krupp.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for having me here tonight. The reason why I'm here is annually, we have the bid assessment that is up for approval. And the bid assessment, I should say the Building Improvement District assessment, is what funds the Downtown Fond du Lac Partnership in part. It makes up 42% of our budget, and it is a tax that is assessed to the 214 property owners that make up the downtown district. The district boundaries are generally, Follett is on the north, Ninth is on the south, and pretty much Macy and Marr, but it's a little bit jagged. And this year, we are not asking for any increase to the bid assessment. We are asking for the same amount that it's been since 2013, and that is $2.60 per $1,000 of property value, with a minimum of $150 and a maximum of $3,000. Maggie? Oh, you can go to the next one already, Maggie. So here is our budget proposal for 2026. The only changes are inflationary, and actually we left the bid assessment the same as 2025. So our only increases are due to our special event revenues. So to explain a little bit about the DFP and what we do, first of all, we are a national Main Street community. There are 1,228 Main Street communities nationally. We follow the guidelines that are put forth nationally for all of the organizations. We are also part of Wisconsin Main Street, where there are 34 different communities that are part of the Wisconsin Main Street program. This year, we celebrated our 20-year anniversary as a Wisconsin Main Street community. Maggie, can you go forward to the next one? And over those 20 years, we have seen in the downtown district $150 million of private investment. Some other milestones that we've achieved over the past 20 years is the vacancy rate has declined from 10.2% to 6.7% today. We have now increased to 19 annual events, and we have 46 event days. We have invested $250,000 in capital investments, and we have over 100 property renderings completed. And what those are, you see on the bottom, that is Bespoke Salon, and Wisconsin Main Street provides these renderings for us, where they take the existing building and they do an architectural rendering of the building. And that has been highly utilized amongst our property owners. And it's really, it helps, it saves lots of money in design fees. And I've never counted, but I'm guessing we've had more than 50 that have actually utilized the state's designs for these purposes. So it's really a great value to us. So our building improvement grant program has been incredibly successful. So this is funded by city money. And to date, we have awarded 224 of these grants, and it has now reached over $1.3 million that we have given back to our downtown property owners, which has leveraged over $9 million in private investment in those 20 years. And so far this year, we've given out, Maggie, can you go to the next slide? That's 7? I didn't count. I think it's 7 that we've given away so far, given out so far this year. So, and some pretty big ones. Fond du Lac Beer Company was our largest one. And I'm sure you've all seen it by now. It's just an incredible, beautiful transformation of a building that no one ever noticed before. And it's just, you know, a just beautiful anchor now to downtown. As far as our other grants, the new business grant, we've given out 3 this year so far, and we've given out 1 creative sign grant. And just actually this afternoon, after I had already sent my presentation in, I noticed that Victoria's just posted on Facebook, their sign went up today, and it's really cute. It's got a cat and a dog, and so I would have included that otherwise. And then we have our building security grant. We've given out 2 so far. And this program has been very successful. We've had, over the course of the 4 years that this program has existed, there has been 22 building owners that have taken advantage of the camera grant, where they have installed cameras on their private properties in accordance with the guidelines that the Fond du Lac Police Department put out. And to be eligible for the grant, your cameras have to correlate with the Fond du Lac Police Department. So it's a great partnership. It's helped solve a lot of different cases, and it's been very, very successful. But I want to actually go back, Maggie. One that we just introduced is the security lighting grant. And this is very similar to the camera grant, but it's for outdoor security lighting. And we've had one that has been approved so far, but like I said, brand new. And but this is one that came about from the picture there is our downtown night walk is what we call it. And we've done this annually now for a couple years where we have our DFP representatives, and then you can see like Lieutenant Steve Olson from PD. I think Paul DeVries is in the picture too. Diane shows up too. She doesn't like to be in pictures. But we walk through all of downtown, mostly through the back alleys, and just see the different things that are happening at night that we might not be aware of. And we're always pretty surprised that there's dark spots, and we point out the areas that could be better lit, that could use cameras, and we approach those property owners and suggest that they could use either cameras or lighting, and that's where this lighting grant came about, is from that downtown walk. So when we welcome new downtown businesses to downtown, we have a Welcome to Downtown Toolkit, and this is a binder of all sorts of things downtown. You can see in the colorful image in the middle, all the different categories of information that we give business owners and property owners, and we really try to make it easy and less cumbersome for anybody who wants to do business in downtown Fond du Lac. And again, that program has been pretty successful. I would say over the past 2 years, I've probably given about 40 of these toolkits out to new property or business owners. And so far in 2025, we have 10 new businesses that have opened so far. And Maggie, you can skip to the next one. Then I'll talk a little bit about our events. So our walk events are designed to get people into our downtown businesses. And especially during the winter months, obviously we can't have outdoor events as much, so we like to get people into the businesses, they check them out, and they realize all the great businesses that we have downtown. So these events are generally ticketed events, and therefore they typically get something at each store, so it guarantees they're going to go into the store and check them all out. Our next type of event is a promotional event where the businesses have different types of sales or contests or drink specials, food specials, just different types of activities, and we just promote the day, and everybody just comes downtown to have a good time. Probably the types of events we do that are most known to the public are our Farmers Market, Fondue Fest, and the Night Market. And we just wrapped up our last night market last Thursday for the season. And our farmers market is continuing to grow stronger and stronger. At this point, we have, I think, 147 vendors. And we just reopened applications yesterday, I believe. We were not accepting applications for a while because we are limited in space due to the Main Street project, but now that it's over tomorrow, we will be expanding the farmers market from Division to Western every week, so we can allow more vendors. And then, of course, Fondue Fest is next Saturday. Again, going strong. I believe we have 250 vendors for that day. 6 music areas, 16 bands, all sorts of stuff. So. But one thing we've really been trying to do with all of our events is to find ways for businesses to become more involved in the events. There's no point in putting on these events if our businesses aren't going to benefit from them. That's the reason why we have them. So for each event, we have started to put together toolkits that provide the businesses ideas of what they can be doing inside their own store, creative, fun ideas to, different contest ideas or giveaway or bounce back ideas. How do you you're going to have thousands of people in your store next Saturday for Fondue Fest. How do you get them to come back in the following weeks? Can you offer them a coupon or different things like that? So there's all sorts of different social media ideas, things of that nature. We also provide the stores with a template that they can hang in their stores, so if they have a special going on in-house that day, that they can post it and say, hey, we have a special today on XYZ, and they can hang it within their store. And one group I wanted to bring up that I'm really proud of is they are called the Downtown Events Collaboration Team. And this is a group of mostly downtown retailers, also restaurants, and they have a private Facebook group, but they also get together every 2 weeks to discuss downtown events and what they can do to make the most of them. And I believe there are 107 members, and they just work together to collaborate, come up with the creative ideas, and they really just work off of each other, and it's really strengthening our downtown businesses, and I'm just so proud of what they're doing. That's why I wanted to bring it up. In our general marketing, we do things like, obviously, our going probably 10 years now, we have our Shop Small and Win sweepstakes every year during the holidays. We have our open flags that just highlight the businesses when they're open. We have our downtown maps that are at the top, and those are available at every downtown business. We have pads of those available. And our downtown gift certificate program. So some new things that are in 2025 is actually we transitioned from our downtown gift certificates. Well, they used to be like fake gift certificates. Now they're actually real live checks. So it's just we transitioned as they became more popular, and now businesses deposit these right into their bank accounts in the evening, and we did it to simplify their accounting records, those sorts of things, so it's worked out really good. But something else we did was switch completely over to online vendor applications for all of our events, and this is to help in-house. We were drowning in stacks of paper in our office. As I mentioned, some of our events have lots and lots of vendors, and we just had stacks and stacks of paper everywhere. So now everything is online, it gets downloaded, saving us lots of time. Some of the other things we do, advocacy and education. So we had quite a few workshops, trainings last year. Wisconsin Main Street provides us with lots of assistance. They provide our businesses with assistance. And then on the right side of the screen, just a very simple little sheet that we put together last year was, we call it the Who Do You Call? And it's just a simple listing of, if there's a tree that needs trimming, who do you call? What's the phone number? If there's a car that's parked, for too long in front of your store, who do you call? All these simple things that are frustrating to business and property owners when they just don't know who to call, or they post it on Facebook, their complaints. Rather, we just want to get them to the right person very quickly. And then we're always looking for feedback. So I just shared here a couple of examples at all of our events. We put out sandwich board signs with QR codes that lead to surveys that tell us how we're doing. After each event that we do, we send out a survey to our businesses, and we also send one out to the participants in each event. And then we also this year sent out a business and property owner survey to all of our constituents. A project that was completed earlier this year, the Art Lot. So this is the parking lot that is between, now it's the Fond du Lac Beer Company, and what is now is currently under renovation, what the old Beer Nuts was. So that'll be a beautiful building as well. But the whole lot that encompasses those two buildings, there was 11 murals completed by 8 different local artists. And we did it because just last year when we were touring Fond du Lac Beer Company, and we were up on the 2nd level, and we knew that that was going to be the place where, like, a wedding, it's a beautiful venue. You know, weddings are going to happen, all sorts of different activities are already happening up there. And you looked out the window and you're like, oh my, wow. So we undertook that and had 11 murals created. So check it out if you haven't seen it already. It's pretty cool. And then I wanted to make sure I thanked everybody. So what we do as far as the Downtown Fond du Lac Partnership, we could not do without the partnership of the many, many departments at the city, and this isn't even all of them. But of course, Diane and the Community Development Department, many of the programs that we do, well, actually almost all the programs we do, all the grants, they are city funded. We administer the programs, but they're typically city funded. And then, of course, the city clerk's office, lots of assistance with our permitting, with our special events, and lots of our printing, all those sorts of things. The Fond du Lac Fire Department and the Police Department and our community service officers, Public Works, lots of issues with barricades for our special events. The electrical team, our banners, they do our holiday decor. And engineering, one big example this year has been road projects. So we've been working a lot with city staff this year. So, and I really appreciate everybody's partnership. And of course, the big project this year has been the Main Street makeover, or as Mr. Moore has said, the Main Street made over as of tomorrow. So tomorrow's the big day. Main Street will be open for business, or open once again, and really looking forward to it. So that's all I have. I am happy to answer any questions or concerns.
All right, thank you for the great presentation, and we will start with Ms. Leering.
I just want to say thank you for expanding the farmers market. There's a lot of people that are really happy about that. So there are people who want to put stands, and they needed more space to have stands since you're full. And a lot of business owners are happy for the foot traffic. So that's great. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from council? I am not seeing any. Well, I just want to say thank you, especially for all the work that you and your staff did to smooth things over as we've gone through the Main Street makeover, because I know that was a big ordeal for not just business owners, but the entire community. Sorry I can't join you tomorrow for the celebration, but I'm very excited to get a chance to go down Main Street and just go all the way down. One question. Is the night market something that you're seeing as kind of a permanent event in your rotation now that, like, you've had a couple of years of doing it, or is it still something that, like, it's kind of see as each summer goes?
I'll say it's still, we're seeing, I think this was our 4th year. I'm not as quite as secure, like, when every year, like, of course, the farmer's market is going to happen every year. Of course, Fondue Fest is going to happen every year. That one is still always up for discussion.
Well, I definitely hear good things about it. So if it's something that can stay, I know a lot of people really have enjoyed having. I enjoy it because I live down on Sheboygan Street, so people just walk down there for those events is really fun. But yeah, if something else comes along that's a better fit or whatever, I'm excited to see what might happen next.
Yeah, and I didn't mention, one thing that might change for us a little bit next year is, you all know Veterans Park is currently under construction, and the county has said that they will open up the ability to have certain special events in the park, and that is something we are going to be looking into, what we possibly could do at that park, too.
Wonderful. All right, well, I am not seeing any other questions or comments from council, so thank you again for joining us and for the great presentation.
Thank you.
All right, item B is our 2026 library budget presentation presented by Interim Library Director Lori Burgess.
Hi. Hi, nice to meet all of you. So my name is Lori Burgess, and I'm on day 3 of being the interim library director at the public library. So the library's mission, Maggie, perfect, is to support a high quality of life in Fond du Lac through reading, lifelong learning, and community involvement. We're a community hub and connector, a place where community members can explore, learn, and find entertainment.
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties up here.
Oh,
There we go.
all right. Well, it was a really cool video. Yeah, you know, technology. Oh, there we go.
In a world of rising costs and limited access, one library has the binding to say, check out our stuff for free. Okay, all libraries, but this one might happen to be closest to you.
Yeah. I would love
That would be amazing. Let's go.
Yeah. It is.
I will vouch for it. It's a really cool video because I saw it when it was shared by the library. Like, if you haven't seen it, it's super awesome.
Yeah.
In a world.
Well, hey, that's all right. Next year, then I'll share it again. So we are in the middle of our strategic plan initiative, and we have several areas that we've been concentrating on. This is based on input from residents, community leaders, and staff. Many of our objectives and initiatives are closely related and intertwined, so I'd like to share some of the progress we've been making in these areas. Community happens at the library and with the library. Community is not just about shared interests or a physical space, it's about the connections we make and the people we meet both inside and outside the library. The library is a vital part of the community, and the community is essential to our thriving library. We are able to highlight our shared community by researching, writing, and publishing Life by the Lake, which purposely highlights the diversity of people who have resided in the Fond du Lac area and have shaped our community into being what it is today. We foster and develop strong community partnerships both inside and outside the library. Not only does Fond du Lac Literacy Services operate inside the library, but local staff of the Wisconsin Job Center also hold regular office hours at the library to meet with job seekers. Additionally, we regularly work with our partner agencies like SSM Health, the Working Families Grant Program, and Birth to Three, who we invite to set up informational tables so that parents can learn about more services offered by the community. Outside the library, we participate in large community-wide events and smaller, more personalized outreach. Earlier this year, a Leadership Fond du Lac team donated a book bike to the library, giving us another mode of transportation to take the library on the road. Every year, we attend events such as Community, the Farmers Market, Juneteenth, the Pride Picnic, Prairie Fest, and National Night Out, among others. This summer, library staff also had the opportunity to partner with Ebony Vision to visit Maplewood Commons to make connections with kids who may not be able to visit the library. We are also in the process of strengthening our relationship with the Literacy Coalition members by establishing a story station in the waiting room at the health department, where parents are able to share books and learn about library resources while waiting for their appointments. And that's our aim, to bring literacy opportunities to more places in the community, as that just makes the library a more radically welcoming place in the community. Maggie? Thank you. After 20 years of heavy use, the laminate on our desks and tables was wearing thin, and we desperately needed new furniture. With the city's help, we were able to purchase new service desks that have adjustable height and wheelchair service areas, adjustable height tables and chairs for our internet computers, and upholstered chairs with built-in outlets to make our space more flexible, comfortable, and welcoming. We have placed computers in our teen area and regrouped other computers so that people can collaborate and teens can play games online while at the library. We're looking at the library through the eyes of different users. When we were advised that people with dementia sometimes see dark patches of flooring, like holes in the floor, and hesitate to walk over them, we replaced the dark brown carpeting in our south entrance with multicolored carpet squares in a random pattern. We are also expanding our equipment to collect our equipment collection to include wellness and assistive devices like angled and weighted utensils, spill-proof bowls, and colorblind glasses so that residents can try these items before investing in them. Earlier in this year, or late last year, we offered a sensory-friendly time to visit with Santa in our winter wonderland, where we required registration so that we could better control the amount of families, people, and stimulation for our more sensitive kiddos, as well as a time at our Touch a Truck event where the air horns were not allowed. And this fall, we'll be trying a sensory-friendly story time where there will be a smaller amount of kids, dimmed lights, and a more controlled environment. Thank you. We also strive to create a culture of curiosity and innovation through reading. We know that people learn in different ways. Babies and toddlers learn through touch, taste, and experiencing the world. While we're in school, we often learn by listening and reading. And the library is great for people who like to read and be entertained through reading. And we fully support reading in all of its various forms, whether that's reading in regular print, large print, in graphic form, or listening to an audiobook. We specialize in reading materials and not just books in paper form. Electronic books and audiobooks are still growing in demand. Through the statewide Wisconsin Public Library Consortium, every public library and every Wisconsin resident in the state has access to almost 120,000 unique ebook titles. To meet this growing demand, we've decided locally to spend extra money on electronic copies that Fond du Lac residents are waiting for, thereby shortening the wait times for local readers. We also create a culture of curiosity and innovation through gamification. We recognize that many kids, teens, and even adults learn skills through gamification. It's fun to play games, and if you learn something besides, then all the better. Whether it's board games, role-playing games, treasure hunts, or video games, games can teach people how to socialize, interact with others, read instructions and messages from others, cooperation, and many other real-life skills. The library now offers all of those types of games for people of all ages. It's the experience of connecting with others and having fun that doesn't even make it seem like you're learning something. We also create a culture of curiosity and innovation through experiences. The library is growing in our experiential learning options. Yes, we still have story times, fun workshops, educational presenters, but we're also providing experiential learning away from the library through experience passes. And boy, have we. This summer, the library has had the hottest tickets in town, experience passes. In addition to the Fond du Lac Children's Museum and Wisconsin State Park passes, we added membership passes to the Milwaukee Zoo, the Domes in Milwaukee, Bookworm Gardens, Farm Wisconsin Discovery Center, Green Bay Botanical Gardens, the Oshkosh Public Museum, the Wisconsin Maritime Museum and Submarine, and a host of other sites. We're looking to add even more in the future. The 2 Milwaukee County Zoo passes have been the most popular by far. They've each checked out over 20 times in the 2.5 months we've had them available. All of the passes are first come, first served, and families check them out for 4 days at a time. Many of the passes are returned and checked out again within hours. Kids especially like to learn through experience and hands-on activities. We have been one of 3 recipients in the country of a very special federally funded grant program known locally as the Design Lab. This program has become known for engaging programming and professional development. It's a fun, STEAM, and arts integrated program designed to help 3rd through 5th graders learn the importance of creative resilience, cooperation, and positive social interactions through project-based learning. Design Lab provides high-quality programs facilitated by talented teaching artists and educators. In year 4, the Design Lab has reached 165 students who, among many hands-on opportunities, have built solar ovens, sustainable practices through the arts, and utilized design thinking principles to create kid-sized food trucks. Each year, the Design Lab promotes and strengthens our community partnerships. This year, they've worked closely with the Fond du Lac School District, Marian University, and the Department of Public Instruction. With the unstable federal funding, we'll be finding out in the next few weeks if this program will be funded for the 5th and final year. As you can see, the library is a busy place. Sharing our news with our stakeholders and community members is challenging, but we strive to communicate effectively. We want to be as welcoming online as we are in person and at events. So last spring, we launched a new library website to make our resources easier to find and discover. Twice a month, we promote our programs and collections on KFIZ and send out email newsletters to over 7,500 subscribers. And every day, we post something new to social media where over 6,500 followers see our activities. None of these things I've presented here happen by magic. It's the library staff's dedication, enthusiasm, and astounding creativity that make all of these activities possible. We place special emphasis on staff learning activities and professional development, on employee wellness, and maintaining a healthy work-life balance. This is the first year we have been able to pay the membership fee to the Wisconsin Library Association for our professional librarians. And all but one of our librarians has already attended a state, regional, or national conference this year. And the one librarian who hasn't attended just started on Monday. Last spring, we held a staff in-service where all staff learned about body language, facial expressions, and our Strength Finder profiles. This raised staff awareness of how we present ourselves at our service desks and raised awareness that we each bring different strengths and talents to the library. The recent wage study helps us compensate our employees fairly, but it's the flexibility, friendliness, and culture of the library that has kept more than half of our staff at the library for more than 5 years, and 4 of us have been with the library for over 20 years. So let's just take a moment to review 2024 by the numbers. Over 370,000 physical items were checked out. We saw almost 125,000 checkouts of electronic materials on the Libby app. We have almost 200,000 physical items in the library and regularly add over 13,000 items each year. In order to make space for those 13,000 items, it means we also assess the collection regularly for materials that are no longer popular, are worn out, or just outdated. It's these materials, along with our multitude of donations, that keep the Chapter 52 used bookstore well supplied with materials. We have over 20,000 users who have library cards in our community, and over 250,000 people visited last year alone. We held over 800 programs with more than 30,000 attendees. So what's next for us at the library? On our horizon, we're looking to wrap up several outstanding projects, including the installation of our solar panels on the roof, which the electrician is at the library this week, so we're happy about that. Completing our final paperwork requirements of the longstanding LED project and a focus on energy study. We'll find out about the design lab. And of course, we're looking forward to a new director to bring new ideas and a fresh perspective to our programs and initiatives. We'll continue to seek and create literacy opportunities throughout the community, and act as a connector whenever possible to bring people together, whether that's a family seeking resources or an organization looking for new partners. As information professionals, we will continue to monitor developments in technology and AI and share what we learn with the community. As I close, I'd like to point out the unique relationship between a municipality and the library board that's governed by state statute. When you see your budget book, you'll notice the library is a one-line allocation. That's because the library board, by law, controls the funds allocated to the library. That doesn't mean the municipality doesn't have influence when it comes to the library and the board. City Council has a representative on the board. In this case, it's President Brault. She attends every meeting, votes to approve a list of bills every month, and oversees expenditures along with the other members of the board. And speaking of the other members, of the 10 members that make up the library board, 7 are appointed by you, City Council, consisting of a broad representation of the community at large. The other 3 members are the appointed City Council member, a county board supervisor, and a representative from the school district, which is usually the superintendent or their designee. This gives the city ample representation and accountability when it comes to matters of the library. I'd invite you to stop by anytime for a tour or join us at a monthly library board meeting that happens on the 3rd Thursday of the month at 4:30. I'd like to thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you the achievements of the library of the last year, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation, and congrats on day 3 as interim director. You know, John Mark sure like snuck out of here and stuck you with this presentation, so so we appreciate you being here. And we will start with Council Member Schussler, who has a...
Thank you, Madam President. You mentioned about how you cull out books for obvious reasons, but I'm wondering, how do you deal with that in terms of the classic books like Shakespeare and Greek philosophy and things like this that are really important for Western civilization and culture and all that? Very few people read those, so do those go too?
It depends. We are a popular materials library, and many of those works are now available online to us. So when they are not, we generally keep at least one copy of the classics, but as they get worn out, they no longer look quite as attractive as they once did. We do often replace them.
With print copies?
Depending on their use, yes.
Okay, because young people and people wandering into the library and that kind of thing, the print is still important.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Heisler.
Great presentation, Ms. Burgess. No pressure or anything, day 3.
You bet.
Great job. That was awesome. Okay, my question is actually for our city council representative from the library board. I would like a copy of that video, and I'm going to task you with the responsibility of getting it to us, okay?
Definitely.
All right, get that done. Thanks a bunch, Lori. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we need to get you in the competition of best director video presented to council. Yeah, because it was up on the library Facebook page, I think maybe in April. So, yeah, and it was great engagement with that video. Lots of people were sharing it and just loving it because it's really, really fantastic. So yes, I'll make sure that council all gets to see it. Mr. Godfrey.
Don't get shocked now, I'm talking now. Great presentation, Lori. I know a few years ago, the library went fine-free. Have you guys noticed an influx of people that had outstanding debts and that have they returned back to the library since then?
Yes and no.
Okay.
That's part of our communication struggles, right? Not everyone knows that we're fine-free for reading materials. So as they discover us again, they're pleasantly surprised that they can use the library again. And we have had many people return. So we are very pleased about that. Unfortunately, people who never return materials do get billed for the replacement after 30 days. So there are times when people get that yellow piece of paper in the mail and they're like, wait, what? It was fine free. And then our materials return to the library and the bill goes away. So it works out for the best.
Thank you, and great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions or comments from council. I would just want to point out I had my design lab pen with me today. So I'm going to be keeping my fingers crossed for that funding to come through, because I've had 2 kids who were fortunate enough to participate in design lab, and it's just an incredible program for our kids in our community. And I have a 7-year-old who will be eligible next summer. So she's really hoping that she'll be selected to be part of the program, but it relies on that funding.
There has not been any rhyme or reason to what will get funded and what doesn't. So we've got our fingers crossed.
But just the fact that our library was selected to be one of the libraries that could do that program is just incredible, you know, that we're one of 3 across the country. So even if the program doesn't get to continue for 1 more year, it's just been such a wonderful asset to our community. One of the things I'd like you to talk a little bit about, because I don't think you really touched on it in your presentation, is the Idea Studio, because I feel like that's something that we don't hear enough about. There's still people I talk to all the time who have no idea what the Idea Studio is.
The Idea Studio is the library's makerspace. So whether you are looking to find out more about 3D printers, or if you're trying to figure out what is sublimation, you can actually print your own t-shirts. You can carve. We have a CNC laser cutter. We have sewing machines, sergers, a Cricut and vinyl cutter. So people can come and make everything from buttons to chessboards in the lower level of the library. So it's really a wonderful space, and we are always looking for more ideas, new equipment, and ways we can open the space even more.
Well, and I just also want to point out, in John Mark's kind of little going away celebration at the library, he got a number of gifts that were created by library staff in the Idea Studio, just really cool things that you'd never think you could make at your library. So I just love that we have that space. And then one other thing I wanted you to kind of touch on is, I see a lot across social media, people love to talk about library of things, like it's this crazy new concept. But the Fond du Lac Public Library has been doing it for a long time, like things like cake pans and stuff like that, but it's really grown just in the past couple of years. So I was wondering if you could touch on some of the, I mean, you did with some of the, like the utensils and things that are available, but what are some of the other kind of unusual things you wouldn't expect to find at a library?
We have everything from bike locks to trekking poles to snowshoes, wellness things that I mentioned, knitting needles, computer projectors, a food dehydrator. So we have a stud finder. So pretty much if someone comes in and asks for it, If it's within reason and it's something that people only tend to use one time, or they're trying to figure out, is this something I should buy? What do I look for when I buy whatever piece of equipment? Those are the things that we try and purchase so that people can try them out before they have to invest the money in them.
And you just reminded me that one of my kids borrowed a bike lock. And I need to get that back, so thank you. But yeah, that's, if someone rides their bike to the library, and that's what she did. She realized she didn't have the bike lock with her, go in the library and you can check one out and, lock up your bike. So thank you. I am not seeing any other questions or comments from council, so thank you so much for joining us and sharing some of the wonderful things we're doing at our library. Oh, wait, we do have Ms. Leering.
I was really surprised because my son's really into music, and you have a recording studio down there too. I don't think a lot of people know that because it's back behind the Idea Lab. And then you have a karaoke machine that you can check
We
out.
do have a karaoke machine and various discs and a PA system and outdoor games, which are very popular with the holiday weekend coming up.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, you have a huge selection of board games there, and it's huge.
And board games these days are really expensive. They're $50 or $60 oftentimes. So with the library collection, you can check it out and try it and see if your family will enjoy it before you actually invest in it.
All right, thank you. All right, so thank you so much, Ms. Burgess, for joining us, and we will move on to item C, which is our 2026 budget presentation, presented by City Manager Mr. Moore and Director of Administration Ms. Davy.
Well, I hope I can do half as well as Lori. Can you imagine what she'll do after 6 days? I mean, by the way, I wanted to compliment her because a lot of the things that you heard John Mark talk about, Lori was right there as a partner, making things happen. And one of the ideas they had a long time ago was a dream of if they could buy what had been a blighted building on the corner of Marr and Sheboygan, where Chapter 52 is, they could put their used books in there, clear out a ton of space in the library, make room for the Idea Studio and everything. So she was part of that and has helped all of those things be successful, and that was kind of an inspiration of an idea at that time. So tonight, we're 2 days away before we're going to bring the budgets over to your houses. And so I wanted to give an overview, plus it's a chance for you to ask any questions or give me some ideas of what you're thinking about. And we'll jump right into it. Maggie, next, please. So there are 3 strategic priorities. I think it's always important to answer the question up front, why are we spending our money on these things? Well, number one, we're maximizing public safety, and you can see those 5 items below that are non-negotiable, non-discretionary, gotta be 100% right every day, or you turn into Flint, Michigan. I mean, these are the 5 things we absolutely have to be able to do. When 911 rings, we've got to be able to answer that. And we've got to respect the environment of Lake Winnebago when we're treating our wastewater and putting it back into Lake Winnebago. So, we think about these investments have to happen in a way that keeps us at a level of excellence that's non-negotiable. Next, please, Maggie. There are 2 other strategic priorities I think about. One is expanding prosperity, and that means essentially partnering with people, using our imaginations to facilitate deals or to facilitate progress, and that comes in so many different ways. Last year, you heard Diane Benson talk about this brainstorm of investing directly in residential development as a public entity rather than trying to create TIDs when you can't, or figuring out grants that are unavailable or inadequate. So we did that as an example of trying to expand prosperity by adding housing to the city of Fond du Lac. And then thirdly is essentially taking care of everything we have and also making it better. And, you know, Dr. Clark was talking about the Loop, and that's an example of a great partnership. And since he brought that up, I wanted to mention that when you see the capital improvement plan, there will be 75,000, right, Paul? 75,000 in 2026 for Loop-focused projects, particularly on safety, because the Friends of the Loop have helped us see some gaps, crosswalks and signaling and things that would make it a lot safer for people to get across the street. So we'll do that. And, you know, any given year you can see you've approved a lot of investments in parks and trails, and we'll continue to ask you to do that. And the same with investment in roads and bridges. We're going to ask you to do that as well. So those are our 3 strategic priorities. There are a few things you have to do, I think, to facilitate success in those 3 areas. You know, it's in terms of our employees, we want a culture of excellence and support. We thought that it had been too long since we had confirmed, you know, whether or not all of our jobs were aligned with the market. And so, and we wanted to make sure we were recruiting good people and retaining great people. And so, you know, that's where the wage study comes in, and I'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute. I think between the presentation you heard from Justin tonight and the presentation you heard from CLA and Brian recently, and the fact you've seen our audit results, and one thing that Brian didn't really emphasize, but we recently had, every year we have to have a long conversation with Standard & Poor's because they've got to put a rating on the city of Fond du Lac so that when they sell debt, people know, are they buying a high-risk debt or low-risk debt? And our debt rating was exceptional. And so my point is, we have just really demonstrated a history of financial efficiency and responsibility. And the department heads are a big part of the efficiency because, you know, their ability to spend significant amount of money, more than they already are in their operating expenses, is pretty limited. And so they've done an amazing job over the years, and especially in the upcoming year, of imagining how to do things efficiently with about the same amount of resources. On number 3, you all want that. You all have any number of emails asking you for help to expedite or to expand customer service. I did bring one note. We usually have good news sort of slip through, and you know, I wanted to read this note that just came through. It says, and this is from Winnebago Lutheran Academy. You can tell it's very recent because it starts out with, the first day of the 101st year of WLA is in the books. In large part, the logistics of getting our staff, students, and families to, in, and out of the building went smoothly. This is because you guys completed the infrastructure update and the paving of Merrill Avenue in front of our building. I wanted to take a few minutes this morning to thank you, Andy. Andy's one of Paul's team members who's exceptional. Thank you, Andy, for the timely updates as well as whatever strings you needed to pull and other jobs you needed to delay across the city to make this happen. The weather really didn't cooperate, but the project was completed, and thank you for all of your help to make the start of the school year work. We had a lot of water line problems over on Merrill Avenue, and that's a real problem for a school. And Paul Travis and the team put together a plan to make a pretty major repair this summer, and they finished it right in the nick of time. So I just wanted to point out, we hear a lot of positive things from people around the city, and that's an example of one recent one. Number 4, long-term investments. You're going to see a wide range of things in the capital improvement plan like you always do. They're all aligned with those strategic priorities with infrastructure, parks, and some innovative investments. And then lastly, there are need always for collaboration with community partners, not just Amy and the DFP, but any number of nonprofits, individuals, and the private sector as well. So now we'll get into a little bit more detail about the budget. So the budget is, the one I'm going to propose is balanced without any doubt. Our fund balance is healthier than it's been in at least 15 years, probably 25. Our expenditures meet the constraints of expenditure restraint, and our revenues fit within the constraints of levy limits. I would say that this is the healthiest budget in terms of stability and sustainability that we've seen in probably 20 years. You know, you can use the word best. That's kind of a vague term, so I'm talking about stability. That's really key for a municipality. And so we don't have any risks anywhere in the budget. We look good across the board. There's no highlight for me or low light for me that I'm going to point out to you. We're in great shape. Next, please. I did want to highlight that, you know, a lot of municipalities have to use some imagination to fit kind of through the eye of the needle with levy limits and expenditure restraint, because your spending's restrained and your revenues are too, and so that makes kind of a tight fit sometimes. The levy limit's interesting because this year, the Consumer Price Index exceeded the rate of net new construction by 3 times. So that means the little movement in the levy was exceeded by inflation by a factor of 3. So it takes some real effort on from the department heads and from Tricia to make it all work. And over the years, the incentive pool that we tap into by meeting the expenditure restraint program requirements, it's remained flat. So we will only see an increase in that if for some reason a municipality falls out of it. They don't qualify anymore, and suddenly there's some loose money that makes that pool, that part of the pool available to us. And so we're in good shape in both of those, but that's no easy solution to get to. Next, please. So you heard from Archer about the wage study. We're in really good shape. You're going to see more of that on Friday than you probably want. There are 100 and some pages of very dense information. And so but it's all good information. And bottom line is, just to summarize what Archer told you, is we're going to have everybody aligned with the market. We're going to have everybody properly classified. And then we're adding one step to for every employee, non-union employee, starting on the 1st of January. That's a good outcome. We also see a good outcome with our labor agreements. You're going to be seeing, I think you're going to be seeing a tentative agreement from part of our public safety organizations in the next few weeks, and then another agreement a few weeks after that. So we're going to get all that done this year, and it's already been accounted for in the budget. And then lastly, this really bucks the trend that you will see in the private sector and the public sector. We're going to be able to go into 26 with the same insurance premium as we have in 25. And our fund reserve just for our health insurance has grown a bit this year, which is a great outcome. So we're starting 26, I think, in as good a shape as we've started any year in a long, long time. Next, please. Here's how we spend our money. I mean, how you spend your money is how you prioritize, right? There's no getting around that. So between public safety and public works, and that includes parks, that's about 80%. So 80 cents on every dollar is public safety and public works. 5% for the library, 5% for transit, about 4% for community development, and then 7% for everything else. Everything else is human resources, city attorney, comptroller, clerk, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's how that breaks down. But the big takeaway is 80% is going to public works and public safety. Next, please. This is where the money comes from. About 54% of our income is not from property taxes, 46%, meaning the balance does come from property taxes, and so that's how that's allocated. Next, please. You know, the reval was a big effort this year, and so I wanted to take a minute to summarize where we started in April with just shy of 15,000 notices of assessment, and of course, that then starts the sort of emotional and you know, the response to those things. That generated roughly 700 calls or visits from property owners, and that got everybody ready for open book because we were able to solve a lot of, or tighten up a lot of loose ends if anybody pointed out a problem to us prior to open book. During open book, we formally saw 409 people, and we granted 317 of those requests and denied 92. So from there, you transition into the harder cases. And so we had 12 property owners that hadn't been satisfied to that point, and they filed an objection that was filed with the Board of Review. The Board of Review heard testimony and then granted 2 of the requests from the 12. And so that's how we got through the year with the reval, and it's all done. Next, please. This is kind of the big picture summary. We had a great opportunity to talk to a lot of property owners to remind them that the revaluation is not driving property taxes. The levy is the levy. What it does do is it updates property owners' share of the overall value, and it therefore determines the property owner's share of the tax levy. And for some people that changed, and it changed for a number of reasons, partly due to the value of their property, and then partly due to the allocation between residential and commercial properties. So there was a different effect depending on the type of property you own. Lastly, because of the increase in assessed property values, we think that, we forecast that the assessed tax rate will drop by at least 30%. Next, please. I referenced this already, but it's worth referencing again. Standard & Poor's confirmed our bond rating, and our external auditors have affirmed our strong financial position. Next. I alluded to this. This budget is providing a historic level of stability, financial health, and it does so in a way that enables us to continue providing high-quality municipal services. And as I already mentioned, it aligns with our priorities. Next. Here's some numbers for you. You will see this in the summary page on Friday. So we're going to ask you to approve a tax levy of $35.1 million. 19.1 goes to the general fund, and I'll show that in just a moment. Lori referenced the allocation to the library. That'll be flat. I recommend that to be flat going into 26 at 2.1 million. And then you can see some of the other allocations of the tax levy itself. So 35.1 million, 19.1 going to the general fund. Next, please. You see on the revenue summary in green, the two major sources of our revenue. The non-property tax is 22.1 million. The property tax support is 19.1. We expect to expend 14.5 million. You see there the fund balance, that's less than 0.5%. That's really just to clean it up. That's to make our expenditures and revenues equal. And that's why I tell you we have a balanced budget. We see our expenditures landing there at 41.5 million as well. All those other funds that you see below, especially the significant ones like wastewater and water, very healthy positions there too. So let's go to the next one, Maggie, please. We have the budget that will be coming out in book form on Friday, and also it will be posted. What will be posted on Friday will be the proposed budget, the proposed CIP, and the entirety of the wage study. Will all be on the internet, on the city's website on Friday. And in September, we continue the tradition of having a third city council meeting. So we'll have 2 regular meetings, the second Wednesday and the fourth, but we have the special meeting on the third Wednesday, the middle Wednesday of September. Next. So that's where we are as of today. I feel great about where what the budget tells us, the opportunities it provides for us, and it'll give you something at least to think about. And be glad to take any questions or input from you right now.
All right, thank you for some good news.
Yes.
And we'll start questions with Mr. Schisler.
Thank you, Madam President. The 2.3% increase in the levy is, so we're levying to the max, right?
Yes.
Because you don't want to see things going up and down from year to year, so.
That's right.
So.
And we don't want to leave it on the table either. We need that money, number one. But if a municipality comes in low, there's kind of an exercise to recapture that in the following years.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I am not seeing any other questions or comments, and I don't have any for you either. We've all kind of been through this a few times, so that's, I think, helpful.
I do want to point out one thing. When you're looking at the budget, you will find special revenue funds. You remember that. One of those special revenue funds is the accounting for the allocation Fond du Lac County has generously provided to us from its sales tax receipts. Look for a note in there. I'm pointing this out because that typeface is really small and it can get lost in all the numbers. So I'm pointing it out because it's brand new. It will say that we want to allocate 25,000 of those dollars in support of homeless activities, right, to mitigate homelessness, to support that effort. So I'm just telling you that so it doesn't get lost in all the other information. Since that's new, give you something to think about there too.
Thank you. I appreciate you pointing that out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, with that, we will move on to our next item, which is item D, discussion on if the city should prohibit persons from directing or draining surface water onto another person's land. And this is presented by Councilmember Schisler.
Thank you, Madam President. So with the materials, there's this August 21 memo from our city attorney, which I'm very grateful for your memo, so I don't have to give another speech. So, as you saw from the memo, I'm asked whether the city could consider prohibiting persons from directing or draining surface water onto another person's land. We don't really have an ordinance that prohibits that. And the question is, should we? And just for the context, like it says in the memo, I advised when I asked for this agenda item, with water levels rising and all the rain, this is becoming a bigger issue than may have been in the past. I'm raising this at the request of a constituent whose neighbor filled in a drainage ditch that appears on a city-approved drainage plan, and she'd like to see the city look into this. What, if anything, the city can do when somebody obstructs a city-approved drainage plan, which is now causing water to come on to her property. And the homeowner's here to protect privacy in front of the whole world. I'm not mentioning names. And just to give you the context, I'll show you the map. Take one past it. I'm sorry, this is the old way as opposed to up on the screen. And will just take me a second to just point out two things on the map. So the property involved here, if you look at the drainage plan, tiny version of it, I yellow highlighted, and the legend on the right, it shows where there's the drainage ditch. And then, so it's this dark crosshatch area, and if you look at the lot that's on the left that I yellow highlighted, so the drainage ditch is above that property, and the other map that I showed you, which is the online property tax map, you can actually see the drainage ditch going across and how it stops because somebody filled it in. And so this is when the subdivision was developed out in the Tachita area. The subdivision is actually part town, part city. The city approved this drainage plan, and so a typical taxpayer is going to say, well, you approved this drainage plan, can you please help me enforce it? And the answer is no. As you saw from the memo, and then so I'd ask either Paul or our city attorney, Deb, if you could explain why the answer is no for a situation like this.
Well, the legal principles, generally the city doesn't get involved in property disputes between neighbors. So, I mean, when you think of all the subdivisions all over the city, some of them have restrictive covenants. They have various things they put onto their subdivision plats when they're recorded. Now, the city examines them. That's what the Plan Commission and you guys do. You look at a subdivision before it is approved. But once it's approved, we're not involved. That's all private property, and we're not involved in telling private property owners how to, run their subdivision. So it's the same as we don't get involved in retaining walls that fall over. We don't get involved in boundary disputes. It's between the two property owners, and they have process through the legal system to address those things if they wish to.
Continuing with the memo from our city attorney, I had provided an ordinance from Little Chute, which appeared to me to be an ordinance which did prohibit property owners from diverting water from their property to another. And as you saw in the memo, the context of that Little Chute ordinance is that it's to prohibit a change in the direction or the amount of flow. And the example provided by Ms. Hoffman would be changing the direction of your downspouts from towards your backyard neighbor's property to a side yard. But this is more of a brainstorm for something that might come up in the future. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this tonight, but the ordinances that were cited, I don't think either the first ordinances that were cited in the memo has to deal with drainage plans, which doesn't help an individual property owner. And then the other chapter, 639, deals with wastewater collection. There's one ordinance in there that says you have to discharge the storm sewer, but there's not really anything that would prohibit the example provided in the memo of a downspout towards your backyard neighbor pointing it over to the side. So we don't really have anything that protects individual property owners. And I'd like more consideration to be given to have something that would help individual property owners, even though in general, I agree, we can't solve all the problems with all the water going here, there, and everywhere. I understand that. But I think we could do more than nothing. And secondly, for the benefit of this property owner here who had somebody fill in a city-approved ditch, could city staff contact the property owners that are involved and provide some education to them of this, what we're talking about tonight? Because maybe, sometimes people don't even know when it gets to be the second, third owner down when it was done 3 owners ago. The obstruction was created not by the current owner, but a previous owner. So could city staff, would it be possible, Mr. DeVries, for city staff to provide education?
Well, in the past, we have provided the drainage plans and said, here's what was approved to the property owners. I believe the adjacent property owner was notified of that and is aware of the issue and between the property owners, that's kind of where we left it. You know, we're not there to provide professional engineering advice to private property owners. That's not our role. We certainly can provide the drainage plans and, you know, show them, here's where the ditch is supposed to be.
So your department's position on this as to what's feasible and what's not, how would you summarize that as far as what the city can do?
I mean, we've done what we think we should be doing is providing the drainage plans, listing the complaints, and then advising residents what their course of action would be. And in this case, it does not involve the city.
So if you had an egregious case, like described in the memo, where somebody pointed their downspout or their sump pump tube right at to the side yard neighbor, or something really egregious like that, or I think this, what we have here is egregious, but take the example in the memo here, what mechanism would the city have to say, hey, you can't do that? I don't see any ordinances that address that.
We have, in relation to like sump pumps and downspouts, they have to be a certain distance away from property lines, certain distance away from public right-of-way and sidewalks, because we have icing in that. So that's where those come into play. The other area would be is if the amount of water was increased, someone puts up a large patio or a shed and creates impervious area that wasn't there, that's something that is also covered.
Okay, I guess I'll have to talk to you to find because I couldn't find any legal basis for that, but tonight's not the time to do that because it's getting late, but I can be in contact with you later about this. So thanks so much for all you've done, providing me with the drainage plan, and Ms. Hoffman for this research that you did and checking with Little Chute. And I believe we could do more. I just don't know how to articulate it. So with that, I also like to bring these kinds of things before my fellow council members and not just between me and the staff member. And that's the other reason why it's on the agenda.
Mr. Moore, did you want to add something?
I was just going to say, I'll commit to going out there, visiting with that person, just to make sure they know they're fouling up the drainage.
Terrific.
Thank you. Ms. Leary?
I just want to say that I feel like we would be able to reduce some of the disputes between neighbors if we did take some of these things more seriously and address them. Because by not having ordinance on the books about these things, it causes people to have conflict. And I feel like, I know that we shouldn't always be involved in that, but I do think it would reduce some of the conflict because I actually have the same complaints in my neighborhood about drainage. So, and there was a fight between two neighbors. So.
Mr. Heisler?
Just a clarifying question for Ms. Hoffman. Ordinance is not retroactive, correct?
That's correct.
So even if we put an ordinance on the books here, we're not fixing this problem? No. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions or comments, but I do want to thank Mr. Schisler for bringing this to our attention. You know, one of the things that's difficult being on an elected body is open meetings law, so we can't really discuss issues like this amongst ourselves other than in a public meeting. So I think we'll all now be thinking about this specific topic and hopefully looking more into it to see if there's something more that could be done. So is there any final words you wanted to add on this topic?
No, thank you for listening. I greatly appreciate it. And
Thank you. And then we'll move on to item E, which is a discussion on requiring garbage and recycling containers to be stored within a garage or accessory structure or in a location screened from street view, again presented by Councilmember Schisler.
this has to do with the garbage containers. A constituent complained to me that things are getting out of control in our city with people leaving their garbage, both recycling and waste containers at the curb all week, which I know is prohibited by our ordinance, or in the front yard, or just what used to be a courtesy thing between neighbors now is just becoming, it's a gradually declining and are making the city look terrible because people are ignoring the rule that we have about time limits on when you can take your container to the curb and the duty to bring them away from the curb. And so the issue, which I won't, just like the last one, I won't be able to resolve tonight, is should we put more teeth into the ordinance that we have? I provided the ordinance from Cedarburg, and Fond du Lac is not Cedarburg. I get that. But Cedarburg requires that they be stored within the garage or an accessory structure in a location screened from street view. And that can't work for some houses because, well, the garages are full. I get that. And there's not room in a lot of people's garages, especially people who have small or one-car garages, to fit the dumpsters, and I get that. I understand the real life here. I do get it. And some homes, modest homes, it's not possible to put the containers in the garage. It's not possible to some homes it's not possible to get the containers to the back, because in order to do it, you're going to be going through snow. And so what can we do to improve this situation is why I'm bringing this up before the council. I don't have the answer. I'm raising the issue because it's not good right now. The situation's not good.
All right, well, I will open it up to discussion among council. Are there any questions or comments on this topic? Mr. Heisler.
Thanks. I'll just make my comments brief, but I'll just tell you that it's very strange for me to say what I'm about to say, but it's true. I've gotten more phone calls, emails, text messages about this than almost anything else we've discussed in 2025. And the overwhelming response to these discussions that I've been having is negative. And the overarching theme is, I'm annoyed that you guys are discussing this. I don't want this to be my problem. And don't you guys have better things to worry about? I tend to agree with that assessment. So I'll just leave it there because, quite frankly, I'm fine being done discussing it.
Thank you. I'll just add, surprisingly, I also had a lot of response from people, sometimes friends that don't really pay a lot of attention to what we're doing here on City Council, that we're concerned that, is this really a top priority for City Council to be concerned about? I think their worry was that we were going to put in an ordinance that would be so strict about where you put your garbage carts, where what it sounds like we need to do is just make sure to maybe re-educate folks that, at the end of garbage pickup, make sure to get your bin put in. I don't know if maybe that could be something that's added to the city social media once in a while, or something to that effect, just to see if that's helpful in getting people to remember to bring in their bins, because we're guilty of sometimes not bringing our bins in the next day. So I know that is an issue. So maybe start with a friendly reminder before we go straight to a restrictive ordinance, I think might be more palatable to people.
I was not suggesting this ordinance be passed. I'm just giving an example of doing more than nothing, which is what we do now.
Right. And I think people just saw the potential ordinance and went straight to, reacting to that. But I'll turn it over to Mr. Zimmerman.
Thank you, Ms. Brault. I also received numerous phone calls that I was surprised about, and emails. But what I just wanted to say is I think the councilor that brought this before us tonight, his heart's is in the right place. When you get elected to do this, you want to improve the city. So I'm also in the standpoint of, I can't get behind it as a ordinance with a lot of teeth, but I really think it was a good thing to bring up and talk about improving our city. My only question would be, Ms. Hoffman, I don't know if you could speak on this. Do you remember when we went back and forth a little bit on that sidewalk ordinance for the delivery people?
Yes.
And it was an ordinance, and then it really wasn't. It's just kind of like a kind suggestion. I mean, that's something I could see us doing with this, just a kind suggestion that way. But I just want to say I really appreciate Mr. Schuster bringing this up, and that's what we're elected for. You know, someone brought something to us, he brought it here, so I just want to thank you for doing that. And that's something, Ms. Hoffman, if we could look into, I would support. So, thank you.
All right, well, I'm not seeing any other discussion. Mr. Schisler, did you want to add anything else to this item at this time?
Nothing further.
Well, and again, as Mr. Zimmerman said, thank you for bringing the item before us, because, you know, we should always keep discussing things as we're trying to improve our city, so I appreciate it. Mr. Moore, did you have something you wanted to add?
I just wanted to add what we do now, especially this summer, Mr. Schuessler, you've assessed the situation correctly. I mean, somebody leaves the trash bin out from Monday to Wednesday, that, you know, that it looks out of place, right? So we photograph it, we send a note so that somebody will go encourage that tenant or occupant to take their garbage bin back to wherever it would normally be put. We do the same thing with grass. We take a picture. The tricky part for both is, I think, Ms. Brault, maybe it was you that said about education. I think that's right. I mean, we need to remind people of the trash bins and grass. I've seen a lot of surprising things in those two areas, and so thanks, Mr. Schuessler. I mean, when we do see these, we do something about them, but we don't see them all. And so that's, you know, part of what you're seeing out there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, with that, that ends our input items, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion by Mr. Zimmerman, second by Mr. Heisler. This is not debatable. Please proceed to vote. Mine didn't give up either. Yes.
What were you thinking?
All right, that passes unanimously. We are adjourned.
I'm looking both